welcome. You guys, here's the thing. Saying no can be really hard for some of us, right? It's really hard for me. I have a people-pleasing addiction the size of Texas, and saying no is really tough because I don't like it when people respond to me in any way other than, oh my gosh, I love everything you just said and did. Like if someone's like, oh my gosh, you just said no to me and I needed that and you said no. I don't like that feeling. And I have a feeling some of you guys are the same way. Otherwise you wouldn't be on this call right now. So we're going to talk about balance. We're going to talk about really how everything can change when you learn how to say no in a smart, strategic way. Not just saying no because you can say the word no like a toddler, right? But saying no when you need to say no, knowing when you need to say no, and knowing when you need to say yes. And so our guest today is my very good friend, Barbara Masonette. And if you guys did not see what I shared in the Sizzle Force group yet this morning, Barb always amazes me. She's a single mom. She homeschools her son. She has a thriving business, and she structured her lifestyle in a way that I feel like every time I call her, she answers the phone and says, "Oh, hi, I'm in the Bahamas," or I'm going to Mexico next week, or something like that. It's like she has the life of like the dreamy traveler's life, right? And she is so smart with her money and her time. She was able, as a single homeschooling mom, to buy a house last year. And I mean, I'm always telling her how amazing she is and how much she inspires me. And she is always teaching me so much. So I can't wait to learn alongside you guys today. And so that's my intro for Barb. If you want to know all of her professional credentials, that you can find on the webinar registration page. I won't get into all of that. I'll just tell you guys she's a smart cookie and you need to know her. And so with that, Barb, I'm going to let you take it away. Just jump in and tell us how your business skyrocketed the day you started saying no.
Thanks, Stephanie. Gosh, that introduction is amazing. I told her this morning when I read about myself on there, if I wasn't me, I would have said, I need to listen to that. She just totally blows me up. So I'm humbled. I'm really humbled, Steph, for that introduction. And I apologize in advance to everybody. I'm fighting a cold. So if you hear a little sniffle or a cough, all I can say is I'm sorry. I am doing my best to fight this. So let's get started. I know this is being recorded, so I'm excited about that. So if you miss anything or you have to pop off, you can get the recording and jump back on later. So and please feel free to share it with anybody. And also, I know Amanda sent out an email to you guys just a few minutes ago with a worksheet attached to it. So if you haven't had a chance, pop on your email, grab that worksheet. I made it so you could type as we go, or you can print it off and write it. But I do encourage you for the next few minutes that we're on this that you do, I know somebody's folding laundry, but if you can find some place to write or to really take some notes, you'll see a difference. So again, thank you for having me, Stephanie. I'm excited. So the title, as Stephanie said, is How My Business Skyrocketed the Day I Started Saying No. And I know that's kind of a crazy, like, what's the right word, oxymoron, or kind of the opposite. But today I'm going to show you on how to really make that work. So the purpose, as we get the next, how can this be true? I know, it's true. I promise. I promise. Keep listening. You'll see. So today's purpose is when I put these presentations together, I'm really, really purposeful on making them purposeful, if that makes sense. So you have 3 purposes today, and that's to identify what's preventing you from having the business you want, and then to give you tangible action steps to skyrocket your business. I'm kind of one of those hands-on gals, and I love that you can hear and learn something new, but it's really not until you put it into action, like kind of the how-tos, that you'll really start to see velocity in your business. And so I'm going to give you how-tos. It's a big deal for me, and I hope that you'll find value in it today. And then let's have some fun, shall we? So why not? Your role today in this presentation is a few things, is to get to the root. As a life coach and a business coach, it's all about coming from curiosity. And so I'm going to invite you to come from curiosity today to get to the root of what's preventing you from having the exact business you want. And notice I use the word exact. Not kind of have the business or dream about the business, but really, what's the exact business you want? And also to stop and think and wonder and write down. So as I said, writing down is going to change everything. So grab that worksheet and really spend the time deciding and thinking and working through that. Okay. The 5 key steps that we're going to cover today is your vision statement. Don't worry. I will help you walk you through that. Once you're clear, watch out world. Amanda, if you can get that next slide. There we go. Number 2 is the why. You know, as a coach, we kind of got to know why. Why do we do what we do, especially when we know it's not working? So I'm going to answer that question today. The why, what stopped me? Number 3 is your yes. Is it your nemesis? Who knows? Let's go through that. Number 4, your no. Let's see if it'll be your new best friend after this. And number 5, I have a couple ones on there. Number 5 is now what? Okay, as we're moving to the next slide, Steph, just wanted to let you know I can hear every movement that you're doing. So I don't know if we want to put you on mute or tell the little toddlers over there, stop wiggling.
Can you hear me breathing?
We can hear it all, girl. We can hear it all.
I'm going to mute myself. I'm sorry. One moment.
All right,
please.
we love you, but come back. Come back at the end. Okay, so here we are. Number 1, your vision statement. So as we're going through this, for this specific question, take a minute to pause whatever you're doing. I know instead, unless you're driving, of course, and really envision what your ideal life looks like. So think to yourself, if I got to choose, which you do, what your ideal life looks like, which includes a business, what would it look like? So on action step number 1, if you're working on the worksheet, find number 1. If you're on a blank sheet of paper, that's fine too. Write out one sentence now that describes exactly what this will look like. Succinct, but very crystal clear. So let me give you an example, kind of an outline on how to do this. Mine is, I will work 8 to 10 hours per week partnering with already amazing human beings to help them get to their next level, both personally and professionally, so that I can focus my time and energy on raising, homeschooling, and loving my son. So what's your vision statement? Make sure to include in this vision statement either the exact hours you want to work in your business or the exact amount of money you want to make. So that will be the first part. Notice I said I will work 8 to 10 hours, and this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm doing in those 8 to 10 hours. I'm partnering with already amazing human beings to help them get to their next level. So that, and so the last part of your vision statement is why is it helping you explain why you're doing the first part. So I'm going to work 8 to 10 hours, right? ... fill in the blank, so that I can focus. So this is my why. I can focus my time, energy, and my time and energy on raising and homeschooling and loving my son. So what is your vision statement? For those of us that are on there, if you want to type it up in the chat section, we can share some of those at the end if you're comfortable. But really spend some time. If we don't have time now, go back and spend some time creating a succinct one-sentence vision statement that is basically your boundaries. It outlines what you want to do in an ideal life, right? So if ideally you don't want to work 40 hours, don't put 40 hours. If ideally you want to make $10,000 a month, let's put that down. In your business, what do you ideally want to do? What are you doing in your business? I'm assuming it'll be helping some people or guiding people or selling something amazing. And then all of that hard work is going to give you the so that you can what? So that you can live how? So that you can travel or spend time. That's the structure of a vision statement. Spend some time creating that as we move on to the next slide, which is with this statement in mind. So now that you have your statement in mind, how is your habit of saying yes too often and no, not enough, preventing you from having that life? So let's break that down. In life, where and how often do you say yes when you really know you shouldn't say yes? Or how often do you know that in this case a no is what you should be saying, but instead you either feel guilted into it or maybe you're a serial people pleaser. Don't worry, there's a lot of us out there where you say yes and then you have that like gut reaction that's like, I shouldn't have said yes, but you did. So on your action step number 2, take a minute and write a list of how this habit of saying yes too often, shows up in all areas of your life. So where do you say yes when you know, in essence, you should be saying no? Like, are you the person that people know, oh, just ask so-and-so, they'll say yes, right? Like maybe you're the person that always brings snacks to your kids' games, or maybe the PTA or the charity organization that you're part of just knows if I ask that person, oh, he or she will say yes. Or maybe at home, maybe you do say yes more than you think is best for your kids. So maybe they're always asking you for things, and instead of saying no, not right now, or mommy or daddy is going to take care of this right now, you say yes. And then some of the things in your business gets put to the wayside or gets put to the end of the priority list. So write out a list of how this habit of saying yes too much and no, not enough gets in the way and shows up in all areas of your life. So by now, you should have a list of where you say yes too often. Now, don't worry about it being easy to say no quite yet. Just as a coach, we do a lot of work about coming from curiosity. So just get curious. In my life, where do I say yes too much? So we're going to move on to Roman numeral number 2, the why. And I'm going to ask you a question. How come you believe it's better to say yes when you know you should say no? Like, what is it about you saying yes when you know you should say no? So, you know me and my action steps. Find action step number 3 on your worksheet. And let's walk through this, because deep down at the root, when you say yes, it reinforces a belief that you made up about yourself a long, long time ago. What is that belief? So think back into childhood and think back to where you watched something or you witnessed something or something happened to you. It doesn't have to be traumatic. It could just be as simple as you tried really hard on a homework assignment and you gave it to your teacher with a huge smile on your face, and your teacher ripped it up, or your teacher gave you a sad face instead of a happy face. Or it could be as large as a divorce or something to that degree. You saw something and witnessed something and felt something, and you made up something about yourself in that moment when you saw something that didn't make you feel safe or loved? What was that belief? What did you see? And what did you make that mean about you? Most likely, this statement, as you see right there, this I am statement, will be something like I am unworthy, or I am unlovable, or I am not good enough, right? Because I didn't get a happy face, or I didn't get picked, or my best friend in 3rd grade stole my boyfriend, or my dad left my mom. What is your belief? I am a disappointment. I'm not good enough. I am unworthy. I'm unlovable. I am a disappointment. I don't know if I just said that. Sorry if I did. What is your belief? And this belief, please know that whatever this belief is, when it is being reinforced, right, every time you say yes. For instance, if your belief is I am unworthy, right, at the very next moment, from that moment forward, it could be true that you got busy saying yes all the time, right? Yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do this. Yes, I'll do this. Sure, sure, sure. Because at the root, it reinforces your belief, or it helps you to prove, wait a minute, I'm not that. So if I say yes, then I really am worthy, right? If I say yes, that would make me lovable. What is that belief, that I am statement, that you got busy proving after you saw or witnessed or experienced something as a child? So that's pretty deep. That's what a lot of coaching goes into. But just for right now, right, what's that belief as we move on to the second part of the why? Is that I am statement. Now here's where we can get real. Is that I am statement, so find that statement, is it a fact or an interpretation? So here's what I mean by this. If at your funeral one day, we stood up and people talked about you, would they say, you know, that great Barbara, I am unworthy Masonette, would that be part of what we would say about you one day? Like, is it actually a fact that you as a human being are that I am statement? Or is it an interpretation that you made up a long time ago and believe it and have made many, many choices along the way, filtering and fostering that I am statement? Is it a fact or an interpretation? So because the answer to this is it's an interpretation, what that means is it's not a fact. It's not actually true. So action step number 4, I'm going to invite you to change the current I am statement into an empowering I am statement. It could be just as simple as, if your I am statement is I am unworthy, your new empowering statement would be I am worthy. And put a period on it. There's no dots after this. Just put a period on it and know that that's a fact, regardless of maybe at this current moment how you feel about it. Because think about it. For many, many years, you believed the opposite. But it doesn't mean it's true. Change your current I am statement into an empowering I am statement. I am worthy. I am good enough. I am lovable. I am smart. I am brilliant. Really think about an I am statement that's going to just land on you, and know that that actually is a fact, regardless of how you actually feel about it at this current moment. Okay, let's move on to yes. Your nemesis, we'll see. To be clear, when is yes disempowering? So if you're like me, where I like to kind of have the guidelines, like that's great, but when am I going to know this is actually true for me? Or how do I know when it's okay to say yes or no? Well, here's your answer. When is yes disempowering? Right here under action step number 4. First, we're going to write this out, and then I will give you the answer. Write out your professional boundaries that are in alignment with your new vision statement. Be specific. So find your vision statement, your one sentence, and I invite you to write out those professional boundaries that are in alignment with your vision statement. So here's what I mean by that. Now that we know that yes is disempowering when it is out of alignment with your vision statement, then we will be able to write out boundaries now that are in alignment with your vision statement. Let me give you an example. So my vision statement, as you know, I'm going to work 8 to 10 hours a week. So my professional boundaries will need to include that I stop working, correct, after 10 hours a week. And how to help me do that would be possibly my email signature saying, if I get this email after 5 o'clock, please look for a response within 24 hours. Or if I get this email after 5 o'clock on Thursday, please expect a response by Tuesday at noon. Or in my voicemail recording, I could say something that says, thank you for this message. I will get back to you as soon as I can. If this message has arrived over the weekend, I will get back to you by Tuesday at noon. So really think about setting yourself up with boundaries that are going to be in alignment with that vision statement you just created. Now, I'm going to encourage you. It doesn't mean that you actually do the boundaries yet. This is where you're going to have to probably make some changes, but really think about that vision statement. If you want to earn $10,000 a month, what are some boundaries you're going to have to set up in order to be in alignment with that? It'll probably include not saying yes to every single thing that comes your way so that you are not focusing on the things that are going to get you to the $10,000 a month. So again, when is yes disempowering? When it's out of alignment with your vision statement. Write out some boundaries that you know right now that maybe you don't have an A+ muscle in, but you know that if you began incorporating them, they're going to be in alignment with your vision statement. Be very specific. So as we go on to the next slide, yes, coming from curiosity, these are just some questions for you to think through. What is the message that you send by saying yes most of the time? So if you're busy saying yes all of the time, what do you think that message is you send to people? What about who do you give your power over to by saying yes when you know in that specific situation you should say no? What about what does it cost you and your loved ones when you say yes? I know this question kind of hits home for me. Think about this. When we're busy saying yes to everybody else, who suffers sometimes? Probably the people closest to us. So in your free time, really come from curiosity and answer, what does it cost me? Just me personally. And what does it cost those loved ones that are the most cherished people in my life when I am out saying yes most of the time? Or when I say yes when I know I should say no. So food for thought with those. Maybe perhaps be thinking about how to answer that, and we can answer some of these questions at the end. Roman numeral number 4, no. I think it should be your new best friend. Hopefully you will agree by the end of this, at the end of this webinar. So to be clear here, when is no empowering? When is no empowering? Here it is, action step number 6. You ready? I want you, I purposely left this blank because I wanted you to write this down. Here we go. When it is in alignment with my vision statement. Now you notice I put, oh no you did, yes I did. Notice I put the word period in parentheses. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. Saying no is empowering when it's completely in alignment with your vision statement. Period. Okay, now here's the part that sometimes people get a little like, oh, but I can't do the second part. Let's write this down. And not when it makes everyone happy. Period. Okay, so I know some of you in there, especially the ones that are the serial yesers, the yes sayers over there, probably just like got hot when I said that, didn't I? Like, your blood pressure just went up. But wait a minute. I'm allowed to say no and not have to worry about making everyone happy? Yes, sirree. Absolutely. How come? Because when you say yes or you say no, it has to be in alignment with your vision statement. And it being in alignment with your vision statement isn't necessarily in alignment with everybody else's ideas or suggestions or requests for you. And so guess what? There's a really good chance they're not going to high-five you when you say no. In fact, there's a good chance they might look at you like a deer in the headlights, right? Because if this is the first time you said no to them ever or in a long time, they're going to look at you and probably wonder, wait a minute, are you sick? Like, is everything okay with you? They might actually be angry or upset or sad. But here's where I'm going to encourage you. Say no when it's in alignment with your vision statement, period, and not when it makes everyone happy. Because at the end of the day, those people have a choice to be upset with you or to be angry with you or to question you. They absolutely have their choice, and it's their choice to be upset with you. Remember that last question I said about who do you give your power over to when you say yes? That's one of the answers. You give your power over to everybody else when you say yes, when you know you should say no, and then also be worried about their response. You'll be at their mercy every single time if we are worried constantly about making everyone happy. Okay, here's some questions because you know me by now that I love to come from curiosity. Here's some questions to think about for no. According to your belief system, what is scary about saying no? So for some people, saying no, there's this belief system about, well, if I say no, they're going to hate me. Or if I say no, they're going to think I'm selfish. Or if they say no, they're going to be mad at me. Great. What is your belief system about that? And is that belief system, the current belief system you have, is that in alignment with your new vision statement? What about when you say no and people are disappointed, angry, or upset? What do you make that mean about you? What about what do you gain when you say no and feel guilty afterwards? I know that one's going to hit home for some of us, right? Think about this. So here you are, you finally say no, right? And then 2 seconds later, you have this guilt about saying no. And almost this need to justify your no. So I want to kindly ask you, so what do you gain then if you feel guilty for saying no? I've asked this question a lot, and so far everybody I've asked that to has said nothing. I gain nothing for saying no and feeling guilty. And so then I encourage them, all right, we have a choice. Either let's say no and choose to not feel guilty, or we might as well say yes, right? If we're going to exude a bunch of energy, feeling guilty afterwards. So what do you gain when you say no and feel guilty? And the last question around no is, what message would you start sending if you were going to begin to say no without justification? What's the message that you could start sending to people? Remember, we don't have to say no with an attitude or no with anger. We can still say no kindly. Oh, thank you for that offer, but no thanks. Right? What's that message you could start sending if you were going to begin saying no without justifying or explaining your answers, unless it's warranted? Okay, So we got some yeses in there. We got some understanding around the word yes. We got some understanding around perhaps how you do know and the stories and the belief systems around that. So so now what, right? I have a fun little picture here with a guy on a rocket here. Now what? So if we've kind of made some clarity around this, who's ready to skyrocket their business? I am. Okay. With your vision statement in hand, so find that paper with your clear, succinct, one-sentence vision statement in hand, and with your new I am statement nearby, right? I am worthy, I am lovable, I am brilliant, whatever your new statement is in hand, and with your boundary list handy. So that list of boundaries that you're ready to start putting into place, that you know is going to help you to be in alignment with your vision statement. Let's see how to do that. Okay? So, you know, I said at the beginning, I'm a big how-to girl. So I'm going to give you 6 how-tos on how to skyrocket your business. This is action step number 7 on your worksheet. Here we go. How-tos to skyrocket your business. Number 1, know your boundaries. So review your vision statement, your I am statement, and your list of boundaries every day. I always encourage my clients, before your little tootsies step foot on the floor, you're in bed, wake up and review your why. Your why is your vision statement. Here's what I'm doing this all for. Review that. Your I am statement, which we now know is a fact. It's not an interpretation. It's who you are, even if right now you're a little fuzzy on believing it to be true because you've been believing your old I am statement up until this point, and your list of boundaries. Just review it. Let's ingrain it into your mind so it becomes kind of like breathing. It's just who you are. Number 2, clearly state your boundaries. So when you are communicating with potential clients or people that you do business with, leave no room for misinterpretation. So I like to use a little example with this so that can help you to put into practice this number 2. So if I was going to say to Stephanie, hey, Steph, we had set up a lunch date, and I was going to say, hey, Steph, I called her and I said, hey, Steph, I'm going to be there in a few minutes. Well, to Stephanie, a few minutes could mean, oh, great, I'll see her in 2 minutes. However, to me, a few minutes, maybe by the way I was raised about time, to me, a few minutes could be 20 minutes. So in my mind, when I call Stephanie and say, I'll see you in a few minutes, I've got 20 minutes of wiggle room to play with. To her, I've got 2. So when I show up and I'm all excited to see her for lunch, and she's a little ticked at me, I would be confused. Like, why is she upset? I told her I would see her in a few minutes. But you see, people have different ways of believing about time. And so to her, a few minutes equates 2 minutes. To me, a few minutes equates to 20 minutes. So to eliminate all of this, leave no room for misinterpretation by saying, my phone call could have looked like this. Hey, Stephanie, I'm running late. I will see you in 15 minutes. I will see you then. Right? Nobody can misinterpret what 15 minutes means. So for number 2, when you're clearly stating your boundaries, so if you change your voicemail, you change your email signature, or you change your pricing, or you change what your services will include in a contract, make sure nobody can read it and misunderstand it. It has to be clear. Number 3, honor those boundaries. So here's what I like to encourage people when they start implementing boundaries. Unless you're willing to commit to honoring these boundaries, to actually doing these boundaries, don't bother communicating them or stating them or reminding anybody about them. You have to be willing to follow through with boundaries. So, number 3, if you're going to honor these boundaries, here's what it will look like. Kindly remind your clients or customers when they ask you to do something outside those boundaries. Just ask them, So-and-so, would you please help me honor the boundaries I've set up? Kind but firm. So if you have somebody that's calling you after your 5 o'clock deadline, because that's what your voicemail says and that's what your email signature and that's what your contract says, I'm only available until 5 o'clock Monday through Friday, and you have a client calling you after that and they're insistent, this is where you would get to practice number 3, honoring your boundaries. So-and-so, I am so excited to help you. I can't wait to. However, according to the boundaries I've set up, I will be able to help you tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. Or I will not be able to help you after 5. Could you please help me honor my boundaries by calling me back at 8? It's kind, but it's firm. And the last question here is what message do you send when you do honor your own boundaries? So think through this. If you are somebody that struggles with honoring boundaries, or you know that you should keep things, or you set things up, but you're like, I don't know, I'll just budge on this, or I'll give into this. Remind yourself to this question: what message do I send when I honor my own boundaries, or what message do I send when I don't honor my boundaries? Okay, number 4. Make no excuse. So what's the message you send when you answer with an excuse or the need to justify? I know this one doesn't feel very warm and fuzzy, but it's just something for us to think about. We send a pretty powerful message when we do stand our ground by honoring our boundaries, or we do say no. But then we smash there at the end of our no with an excuse or a need to justify. Stop and ask yourself, what's the message I send when I feel this urge or this need to justify why I honored my own boundaries or why I said no? Number 5, feeling guilty. So I talked about this a little bit earlier, but ask yourself often. It's a good question. I love this question. What do I gain when I honor my boundaries? By saying no, but feeling guilty afterwards. I don't know. If you have something that can gain other than nothing, I would love to hear or share. I would love for you to share it. Because so far, every time I've asked that question, everybody has said nothing. Right? So then it makes us think, well, then why do I choose to feel guilty after I say no? Possibly it's to reinforce that I am statement or that belief, or something else along those lines. Just ask yourself, coming from curiosity, what do I gain? And number 6, remind yourself daily, what kind of business owner do I want to be? Are the yeses and nos I'm saying allowing me to be just that? So take action steps according to your vision statement, not according to other people's reactions, choices, or feelings. I know, everybody, that one's hard, but you'll always be at their mercy if you are attached to their responses. Always. And remember, we can do all 1 through 6 kindly but firmly, as long as you're willing to honor your boundaries so that you can stay in alignment with your vision statement, which will lead you to create your ideal life. Okay, so if you are committed to having your business skyrocket and you realize that what you're doing currently will not get you there, what is the most empowering choice you can make daily to get there? Start with those how-tos, and if you did those daily, what would shift? What would change? If you change the habits you identified today, how will this boost your business? So today was a little sneak peek into the power of life coaching and business coaching. I love it. I just love it. Coaching is so powerful, and it really is life-changing work. So I'm going to ask you, as we're going through this, and you're going to let some of this resonate and really just kind of create some new awarenesses, would having a 1-hour strategy coaching call help you to continue explore this topic or another topic where you know, gosh, I'm pretty stuck at, or I'm kind of tired of it. I'm ready to let go of it. Would dedicating an hour just on you and your business growth be valuable and productive. So if you could ask yes, yay, there's a question that a yes is empowering. If you know that dedicating an hour just to you and your business and to some of these beliefs and to some of these thought patterns and to some of these old habits, if you know that it's time to invest a little in you, go to my website at www.barbaramysinnott.com and sign up for this powerful and purpose coaching session. You'll see the link right there. It is, I design these coaching calls to be very purposeful, and you will get off these calls with tangible how-to action steps to continue moving your business and your life forward. And this is all for only $97. If you go now to that website, my website, you will find that link. Click on there and we'll get started. So I like to end everything with a powerful quote here. Remember, it is your business and it's up to you to get there. And to get there might, after today's little webinar here, you might realize, I've got some obstacles or things in the way that's getting me, that's preventing me from having the business that I want. So when you feel like quitting, think about why you started and know that absolutely, if I can do it with all the obstacles that were thrown in my path, I know you can do it. Go now and click on and sign up for that session if you know it would be valuable to spend an hour on you. Okie dokie, that is what I have today. Stephanie, are you back on? Are you here?
I am here. Oh my gosh, Barb.
Yes.
Slam dunk again. Slam dunk. I think Nancy put something in the chat when you were in the middle of talking and said that your words are touching my heart and coming out of my eyes. And obviously you can tell Nancy's a writer, right? Because
oh my gosh.
Yeah, right? But isn't that so true? I think it's true for everybody that struggles in this area, which is probably, if I had to make up some statistic right now, I'd say 99% of women really struggle in this area in one shape or another.
I agree.
And it's so empowering what you have said. So I do want to invite people to go ahead and put any questions they might have in the chat box right now. And while you guys are doing that, while you're putting your questions up, I just wanted to kind of reinforce a couple of things that you mentioned during this powerful training, Barb. One of the things that really hit home with me was, what message do I send people when I say yes all the time? When we say yes to everyone else, which loved ones do we say no to?
Yeah.
It totally hit me because I was like, everybody has a different situation with their family, right? In your case, if you say yes to me, your friend and business colleague, then you're going to have to say no to your son Isaac for something because Isaac is at home with you, right? And likewise, if I say yes to every opportunity that comes into my path just because it's a great opportunity professionally, is it really great for life as a whole? Is it great for my marriage? Is it great for my kids? Is it great for my own mental sanity and having some downtime and, just mental health? It's so important to start thinking about that. So thank you for that.
Sure.
Did you have any other thoughts about that? Have you seen anybody that you've worked with start practicing this saying no thing? And can you tell us any stories about what's happened for people?
Gosh, oh my goodness! I would have to go through all of my, my mental Rolodex here. And I can't necessarily think of something specific right now, but I do know that what happens when people do put into practice the no's, it's almost like It's like, excuse me, it's almost like they have this whole new zest for in this case their business or their life, because what happens is they start having this freedom that they had not experienced before when they do start saying no. Does that make sense? Like if when somebody starts to say no, and they start to work through not being attached to how people are going to respond to that, it's freeing. It's freeing in your mind, but it also frees up your time. And for me, in my case, because I'm committed to only working 8 to 10 hours a week, I have to be very diligent and very specific with what I say yes and no to, because it will be out of my alignment with my vision statement if I start saying yes to everything. But when I do start saying no, it does give me the freedom, right, to spend the time with my son. That is the most important thing to me. But because we only have 24 hours in a day, like we have, there's just not the opportunity to not say no. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Like we can only get so many yeses in there, and soon the yeses just start clouding up. And responsibility to loved ones.
Well, and Maria had a comment here in the chat. She said, I'd like to add this. Not only are we sending a message to the person asking, we're sending a message to our kids when we always say yes. Tells them that they always have to say yes. Having 3 girls, I'm sensitive to the message I send them. I mean, can't every mom resonate with that?
Oh, it's so true, Maria. It's so true. In today's society, it's almost, I don't want to say the word trendy. I don't know, Steph, maybe you have a better word, but it's almost, it's the norm that yes, 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 all over the place. And what happens is people, right, get so busy being busy that there ends up being like a lot of frazzled and all over the place and overwhelmed and stressed and tired, because we've bought into that, well, you can't say no. Like, you can't say no to your kid's soccer coach, right? Like, how hard is it to go pick up oranges and, a juice box? Or, well, I mean, come on, it's just me, your favorite client. Let's just do this for me. And we get almost comfortable with being tired and overwhelmed. And our kids see that. And our kids start to see, well, that's what we have to be, right? Like, we just have to be a bunch of yesers all the time because mommy does it or daddy does it.
Right, and the thing that the other thing that I think about is that when you are saying yes all the time and your kids are seeing that and they learn that, I mean, how many of us, and we're just talking about parents, but we could do this with our friends and, our sister, our brother, our husband, regardless of what your life looks like. How many of us would want to see somebody that we love say yes all the time and be frazzled all the time? None of us would want that, right? We're great at telling other people, well, don't do that. You don't need to do that, and take care of yourself because I love you and I want you to take care of yourself. And, how much are we preaching but not practicing? Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me, but
it's not just you, Steph. It's not. I promise you, you're not a lone ranger on an island by yourself doing that. It's so true. It's just true.
Yeah, because if my kids started saying yes to people all the time, I'd be like, no. The answer is no. And
why do you think it is? Why do you think that people don't play by their own role? Like, we set things up, but then we don't play. What do you think it is? What do you think it is, Steph?
I think it's fear, and I think it goes back to that belief that we all have developed, right? When you said earlier it was number 2, right? Or action step number 3. What is the belief? That was another thing that really hit me. I highlighted it. At my funeral, would people say this about me? Right? And no
way.
People wouldn't. So we're so cuckoo. We're so cuckoo for doing these things, but yet we're all guilty. So at this point, what are we left with? we're left with a decision. Now we know we're doing it, right? The first step in changing is becoming aware of what you're doing, right? So now we're all aware, and now it's decision time. Okay, right. So we're aware of this. Are we okay with continuing to let this happen in our lives and continuing to have the same results? Or are we fed up with our own stuff enough to change something?
What's the answer, Steph?
Oh, great. I knew that was coming.
So, Steph, what's the answer?
Yeah. No, I am fed up enough to change something. So I'm working on this. And I'm so grateful that I have access to your support, Barb, because it makes such a difference. So I'll tell you guys real quick, I spent an hour with Barb, I guess it was about a year ago. I spent an hour with her kind of going through, we touched on some of the same things she talked about today, and then we did some other stuff as well. But I will tell you that 1 hour, just 1 hour, honestly was one of the most impactful conversations I had all year. And it is something, it was like one of those conversations I don't think I'll ever forget.
Wow.
And I think working with you, and I'm not saying this to butter you up or kiss your butt or anything, I'm saying it because it's true that working with you on a consistent basis, I mean, I can only imagine what that would look like after I know what happens when I get an hour of you. So all of that to say, you guys, I just encourage you to make this investment in yourself because it's worthy. I know time is ticking quickly, so in the interest of honoring our commitment to be done within an hour, let me just wrap this up by saying thank you, Barb. Your wisdom is appreciated and inspiring and equipping, and we're so grateful for your time. And I will leave this with the rest of you guys knowing that, Sizzle Force Marketing is all about helping you get noticed and attract more clients. And in some parts of life, in order to do that, you have to change different things in your life. It's not always a marketing move. It's a mindset move. It's a choice in how you take care of your body. It's a choice in all these different areas. And I'm constantly on this trek of trying to do better and live life better and live it more purposefully. And that's why I am bringing in these experts to do these calls with us, because I'm learning alongside you guys. I can teach you guys marketing until I'm blue in the face, but life and really having the life you want and running the business you dream of, it includes a little marketing and a little bit of this and a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And so I'm trying to really create this holistic environment for us where we can get equipped in all the different areas of life that are required to really live life in an ideal way. So if you guys are not in Sizzle Force Marketing Club, you need to be, because I opened up this webinar to everybody just so you guys could get a taste of it. But the future webinars, you have to be a member of the club to get access to them. And we are doing one of these every single month, and I am bringing in amazing people just like Barb to do them with us. You can join the club for $7. Yeah, that's what I said, $7. I didn't say like 7,000 bucks. I said $7. And you get access to these really powerful calls, but you get access to tons of other stuff, including I have 8 trainings that you get immediate access to with marketing right when you join. And every single month I add a new training. And we also have a resource library that's loaded with tools that you need to implement the things you learn in the courses that you get access to. And we're blowing it up. It's amazing, and it's $7 for you guys to join for 30 days. So if you are not a member of the club, you really need to invest $7 in yourself. Go to sizzleforceacademy.com/club to join. Okay, sizzleforceacademy.com/club. to go ahead and join. $7, make your investment. $7 on the club, $97 with Barb. And just watch and wait and see what happens for you. All right. With that said, the cuckoo clock is cuckooing. I don't know if you guys can hear that in the background, but my bird is chiming and telling me to stop talking. So I'm going to let you guys all go. Thank you for your time. I hope you